Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Back to Basics sessions for Narrowcasting. My name's Kelly, and I'm one of your customer success managers here at CultureSuite, and I'll be hosting today's session. Today, I'm excited to welcome Michelle, who is one of our Peppered consultants. She will be walking us through narrowcasting and how to use it. Today's session will be in English, but please feel free to ask questions in Dutch or English, and we will answer these at the end. Michelle, over to you.
Hello. My name is Michelle. I am one of the Peppered consultants at CultureSuite, and I will be taking you into a back to basics of narrowcasting. And I have a small presentation for you. If we can get that up on the screen. Thank you. Yeah, so that's me, another version of me. I am one of the Peppered consultants, like I said, and today we're talking about narrowcasting, just the basics. I'm going to talk about what it is and why you should use it, about setting up narrowcasting, checking and testing the narrowcasting that you set up, and a cool feature that you can use with narrowcasting, which is a kiosk. So first of all, what is narrowcasting is a question a lot of people who are not maybe in the industry might ask, and it's, to explain it easily, it's kind of like a TV screen with a slideshow on it where you can show your upcoming shows, or even like a menu for your bar, or like a notice to make sure that the visitors of your theater or venue can be informed in a way. You can show different broadcasts per screen, so you can show something at the wardrobe to say like wardrobe is free, or like I said, at the bar you can have a small menu to show how much a coffee would cost, or just some information of the event that is playing right at the start and at the doors before you enter the main hall. One of the questions we also get is why you should use narrowcasting. And one of the cool things about it is that it keeps scrolling automatically. So it makes sure that you can have multiple slides of different shows that you want to highlight maybe, and they will keep sliding so everyone can see all of your highlighted events. You can also overwrite these slides by having like a special notice up if you are, for example, close between 2 and 4, or there's no one at the desk between 2 and 4 because of something that is happening. You can have multiple layers to show between specific time points. It's self-service to get your tickets, or it's a notice of we are just closed in general. So that is a nice one. You can also use it to show different information after a show before you have the information of the show that you had beforehand. Like I said, you can highlight events on it, and it's very helpful as well to make sure that you can note stuff like the bar menu, or maybe even a drink that is included after the show. You can post that up so people see it easier and make sure that they will make use of that opportunity. Something else that is also very helpful is that you can use the screens to put up a QR code, or maybe put down a small short URL that people can follow to lead to a page with more information about tonight's show, or maybe just an agenda page of your website in general, so people know where to look for more shows instantly when they are leaving or when they are just entering the theater. Let's talk about setting up some narrowcasting, because it's nice to use it, but how do you actually set it up? Well, it's actually 4 easy steps. It's setting up a channel at first, then setting up a slideshow. And in those slideshows, you obviously need slides, so you need to set up those. And then you will set up a broadcast. And all of these things are working together. First of all, you set up a channel. This is something you see in the module of the narrowcasting in the dashboard. It's at the top. You see a little button that says Add Channel. Once you've done that, you will see that I've made one that says Test Webinar. Once you add a channel, it only asks for the name of the channel to be filled out, and that's the only setting you can have at that point. That's all you have to do to add a channel, so this is the easiest step. It's very hard to mess up, and you can obviously change it if you click the channel. You can edit the name if you want to. Once you've made the channel, it will show in the channel mixer, like on the image, and it will say that there are no broadcasts for that day. That's because you haven't made your slideshow, your slide, and your broadcast yet for that narrowcasting. So those are next up. Once you set up a slideshow, you have a little bit more of a setting to fill out. You have to put in the name of the slideshow, so it's very easy to recognize. You can set the time per slide in seconds. 30 seconds is always the standard, but you can make it a little bit shorter, or you can make it a bit longer, or whatever you want. Then the today event slides per day is the events that will show on that day. So it's very easy to say, I want to show 3 shows that we have today, and those will then show up on the screen and take it from the coming soon part of the website. It's very important to note that the today event slides per day and the suggestion slides per event are both something you can only set up during setup of a slideshow. You cannot edit those later, so make sure that you set those up correctly, because otherwise you have to make a new slideshow. Then the suggestion slide per event can, for example, be 2. That means that for every event that you have in the today events per day, for every one of those, you will have 2 suggestions. So it will create 2 slides that will be a suggestion of the show that is going on the day itself. And one thing to note for that is it only works if you manually add some suggestions in productions in the dashboard. It doesn't automatically fill them out, so you need to manually add suggestions in the production module of the dashboard for them to show up in the narrowcasting. Then you can tick a box that says shuffle slides, or you can organize them yourself later on. Slides will also be instantly live, so you can set an end date, which is optional if you want your bar menu to always stay. You don't have to fill it out, but if you have something that is upcoming this week, you can set the end date to Sunday at 8 p.m., for example, and then the slideshow will stop from that date. And then you will add some slides. There are different types of slides. You can have a clock, you can have a notice, like we are closed from 2 to 4. This one has a logo in it. You can have a featured, which shows upcoming events, like we said before. You can have a video URL, which plays the video. It will always play the full video. So if you make a slide 30 seconds, but the video is a minute, it will always play the full minute of the video. That's something that you cannot change. You can have an iframe, and you can also have a notice without a logo, which is often used for indoors, where it is obvious that the screen belongs to the venue and you don't want your logo to show up 30 times in like the entryway, for example. On the image here, you see a very basic setup of a clock where you can see a logo is in the top left corner, and then the clock is just in the middle. You can obviously style your slides by, for example, a featured. You can use an image you want yourself. Same with the notice. It's just everything you can set up yourself. Then the last step is a broadcast. You have to pick the channel that you made. So in this case, it would be the test webinar. You set up the slideshow. So you pick the slideshow that you created and you set the days and times. So you can say, we want something on the Fridays to show for happy hour. Let's make a fun one. Then this will be something that will show up every week on Friday at a specific time if you set the time as well. It can also be something during the entire day, but in this example, I've used it from 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. So in that time slot, on the selected days, it will show up on your narrowcasting. Good thing to note is that you cannot set up stuff for one specific Friday, for example, like the 24th of a month. If you want to do this, you have about 6 days in advance. So basically when the week starts, like on the Saturday, you can set up stuff for the Friday that comes after. But you cannot set it up for something in the future of like 2 months in advance. That's not something that you can do, sadly. If you've set everything up, it's very nice to also check your narrowcasting and see if everything is set up correctly. And there's different ways to do that. We, of course, have the channel mixer. You can see if your channel is, if your channel has a broadcast in it, and if it has a broadcast, which slideshow is in it and what slides are in that slideshow. The overview is also, like I said, of the slideshows. You can check and see if your slides are in there. You can rearrange those with the 6 drag and drop dots that are everywhere throughout the dashboard. So you can use those in the narrowcasting module as well. By using /NC for narrowcasting, behind your theater URL, you can actually also check your narrowcasting just on your computer. Do note that this is, of course, a smaller screen often than the bigger screens you might use for narrowcasting, but the content will scale to the size of your window of the browser that you're using it in. So if you want to check something that is a portrait mode, make sure to size your window to be a bit slimmer and taller so that you know that it's actually the correct size of screen that you're trying to mimic. And then the best way to test is actually always on the screen you are wanting to showcase the content on, so the narrowcasting screen that you are actually using it on. It might be a little bit of a trial and error, but by testing it on the screens itself, you will know how it will look on the actual screen because you are testing there, of course. So yeah, that's actually different ways to see if you've set everything up correctly, with the last one being the actual best way to test, even though it might involve a little bit of walking back and forth between screens, but it should all be fine. Then the fun feature we have for narrowcasting is actually using it as a kiosk as well. One of our clients, Amara, has been using this, and good things to note about the kiosk is that it only works with touchscreens, and we advise it to use it on portrait screens, so in the length, not like a regular screen. And the kiosk is basically something where you can showcase some events by using a filter and saying, I want to showcase all events that are playing today or this week, or I want to showcase just movies on there. And in that way, you can let people browse inside your theater and check what kind of shows there are and if they might want to buy a ticket there. One good thing to note is that it is best used in a public building. So if your building closes, then you might not need the kiosk as much, but it's best for visitors who like to browse and might not want to ask a employee to know what kind of shows are on. They can actually just browse the kiosk screen and see what is on, and it could kind of work as a coming soon feature inside the theater. And a way for them to actually order the tickets is by clicking a show, and they will get a QR code that brings them to the order page. So in the screenshot over here, you see all the different events. And if they click tickets, they will get a screen with a QR code, which they can scan with their phone, and then they will get sent to the website that way where they can buy a ticket. To actually make sure that you are getting the events you want to showcase, you can add filters in the URL of the narrowcasting. For example, to filter on genres, dates, movies, etc., like I said before. And one good thing to note is that it is actually showing events and not productions, because you're trying to sell tickets for specific events. So it will show the same production multiple times, because they might have 3 events that are playing on the same day. So that's one good thing to keep track of. Then, of course, I would like to end with some best practices of narrowcasting, because we have quite a few of our clients who are doing the absolute amazing work with it. So we have Theater de Veste in the top left and top right. They like to use it to showcase some productions. We have Theater de Bussel in the top middle, who like to kind of use it as a bit of a showcase to say, have you seen our new season yet? At the full bottom row is actually Isola Theater, who likes to use it to showcase upcoming events, but they also use a bar menu, like I said, in the middle, to showcase how much a coffee would cost at the bar, which can be very helpful for the people working behind the bar as well. And then in the middle, we have the second one of the right. There's one actually for a entrance for artists that just says like, welcome and good luck with your show. So that's one thing that could also really be nice to implement in a way that might not be the most regular way to use narrowcasting, where people might think. So yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of customization that you can do with this, and you can really make it your own. And that's actually all I have for you for narrowcasting. If there are any questions, we will check the chat, and I will try to answer them as best as I can.
Thank you for that, Michelle. There's no questions in the chat at the moment, but we'll just hold for maybe a minute and just see if there is anyone who's going to put their hands up.
Yes.
Thank you for that. It was really interesting. And thanks for like real life examples as well. They're really good, because then you can sort of compare.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing any questions come through, but of course, if anybody does have any follow-up questions once you've had a chance to think about it, you can always put in some questions in our help service, and a member of our customer success team would be more than happy to help you. So still not anything, so we'll close off for today. Thank you again, Michelle, for talking us through narrowcasting. We will post this on our YouTube channel in the next coming days. So thank you everyone for your time today. Bye.
Bye.